I wonder if, though it's very hard to do, so often a non-response would have saved so much. If we take a really, high-profile international example, if when Eisenhower, seeking office, was suddenly aligned with McCarthy, who had very recently completely run out Eisenhower's mentor, really, and rise to glory, General Marshall. If Truman had not reacted at such apparent betrayal, and the fact that, of course, Eisenhower was standing in the opposing party to his own, standing, in fact, as a Republican. If he'd just not reacted and not slandered him, so to speak, criticised him, and to point out to the public that he was a man not to be trusted, well, yes, Eisenhower would have still won. And Truman still lost. So, the man had faults. Perhaps Truman had faults. One suspects that perhaps he did have, given his putting up with Edgar Hoover, head of the FBI. Inferences that Hoover had something that Truman would rather not talk about. Or perhaps it was the loyalty that they were both Freemasons, very serious Freemasons, top Freemasons. And they couldn't betray the other by sworn allegiance in such crafts. You see, the Western world has been dogged from the beginning by this Hebrew concept of blame and reacting in self-righteous indignation accordingly, severing the good because of the bad. But all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And if not in this life, who knows in what before or what to come. What matters is our Heavenly Father loves all of us. We trust or we don't. And we trust or we don't that He will bring all to glory, and that's what counts. For eternity is far greater than the transitory. Transitory passes into history and is lost and forgiven by the grace of God and those in heaven. And these two, Eisenhower and Truman, made up. I don't know, was it 8 years later when they, had tea together and the wives were there too. And I wonder if the wives weren't significant in this brokerage of peace again and reconciliation, and the distance from the faults of each other to have some greater perspective on their relationship, ideally faithful and true to each other. And so we are too in our private lives and our individual tiny worlds. A spouse mistreats you or is unfaithful or does something that's cruel and unkind. Yes, Does that mean you have to be violent in response, in accusation, in valid criticism of the deed, in condemnation of the other, pointing out their faults to their face and to other people? No. We simply don't react. In modern language, we get a bad text, we look at it and think, still hates me, oh dear. Don't respond. Don't fuel it, don't defend it, don't criticize in response. Don't do some cunning out maneuver, don't respond. Just non-response. When in doubt, do not. Simple, and yet hard to do. And yet saves so much hardening, so much further damnation and havoc and despair and unhappiness too. I'm come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. The fact that someone else has done something wrong doesn't warrant me to do something wrong in return. So we don't. If we can't do good, we do nothing. If we can do good, we do, but don't be foolish. Don't make yourself vulnerable. Don't lay yourself obviously open to further harm, because they feel in a malevolent mood and may well take it as opportunity. And I don't want my children to walk into that sort of danger. I guide them and ask them to avoid such, because I love them. That means you and me. Make distance if that's the safest thing to do. Don't harm if you can avoid it. You may not be able to avoid it to protect someone else. And of course, Truman probably felt he was definitely protecting General Marshall by strong accusation that Eisenhower's political accomplice, McCarthy, had criticized General Marshall so strongly. It made Eisenhower look a party to this. You know, how could you trust a man with that sort of friend? Damaging to Eisenhower's campaign, of course. And in great contrast to, I think you're right to run America. And I think it was 3 or 4 times that Truman had said, I'll stand down for you. You become the next president. And of course for the Democratic Party, because, well, because that's what Truman presumably believed in. That's where he was. Yes. So people do things that seem unaccountable to you and harmful. We don't harm back unless it's very much to protect someone else, and you could say Truman was trying to protect Marshall from false accusations. So he paraded that these accusations were false and used his campaign to do it. Should have stuck to commending his own policies, perhaps the faults of McCarthy's policies, and stopped at that. Caused further harm, didn't it? Eisenhower felt that Truman had gone against him unreasonably. Truman didn't feel it was unreasonable at all. So the rift grew greater, and two great men missed an opportunity to be a blessing and a help to each other in those, 8 years or so before they found reconciliation. No, what a shame. So sometimes it's best to do nothing in response. There may be times when there's some response that will truly make things better, but it's very hard to find in the moment when you feel betrayed or deliberately attacked. Best to make distance, no response. Distance between, so that you don't make mistakes. For you can make mistakes in the heat of the moment so easily. Bless you. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.